Alright, so the next game we're going to look at is actually the WCW game. I was going to go with something newer, but I figured I might as well just do this in order. Um, it's a pretty cool game. Sorry about that, I'm having some technical issues. There we go. It's a pretty cool game. Again, this was out on the Nintendo, the original Nintendo. Um, this came out originally released in Japan in 1989. And it was under the name Superstar Pro Wrestling with a different lineup of wrestlers. Um, the developers of this I don't even know how to say that. Nacha Bucha Show. I'm not even gonna try. Some pretty well-known guys worked on this as far as the artists. So released December 9th, 1989, and then for us, it released in 1990. So the pretty good game has a bunch of different, wrestlers and stuff like that. In the version that was released in Japan, it was more of like a cartoony game with the guys. They didn't have a lot of like the cool stuff that they had in this one, and by cool stuff I just mean like the different guys. Again, this is the genres fighting or wrestling, single player or multiplayer. This one sold over 100,000 copies, and actually beat out some of the wrestling stuff. And this was released after the Road Warriors left WCW for the WWE, which is kind of cool because they would probably be in the next game for the WWE. So we're going to go ahead. Let's see here. We're going to go ahead and get started. So you have different things. In Japan, for wrestling in certain areas, also Europe and stuff like that, during certain periods of time, they would wrestle in rounds. And you would, still have the predetermined winner and stuff like that, but it would be wrestled in rounds. So this game is actually still going to have some of that feel of it. So you have your single player 5-minute 1 round, tag team 10-minute 1 round, and then for 2-player games you have a single 15-minute 3 rounds, tag team 30-minute 3 rounds. So we're going to go ahead and do this. I'm guessing with the passwords was some type of cheat or something like that you would be able to put in, but I don't have a password. So the people that you have for this is Ric Flair, Lex Luger, Renato, Kevin Sullivan, Sting, Rick Steiner, Ricky Steamboat, Hawk Warrior, Animal Warrior, S. Williams, E. Gilbert, and M. Hayes. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do... Stephen Williams, okay. E. Gilbert, I'm not really sure of, so we're going to go ahead and do E. Gilbert. Eddie Gilbert, there we go. I should have knew that right off the bat. So you have all these different moves and stuff like that. We're going to pick the pile driver, the neck hang, neck breaker drop, one-headed breaker. This basically is what each move you do is. Very interesting. Not very good at this again. So this is a pretty different game. You can see it similar to the other one, very simple in move ability, what you can actually do for the characters and stuff like that. It's kind of funny because Eddie Gilbert still has his sunglasses on, and of course, for modern day people who would watch wrestling or people who have seen wrestling games, usually you don't wear your gear that you would enter the ring in on there. In the ring, it wouldn't make sense. Yeah, this is very different compared to what you would play today. You have your count out. This is a WCW game, as I said before, and WWE put them out of business, but they were doing some pretty big things. With some of the guys that they had the Ric Flairs and the Steiner brothers, and eventually would grow into the NWO and Four Horsemen and this and that. And Four Horsemen didn't come from WCW; they were actually NWA, AWA and stuff like that. Oh, somebody just threw in a wrench as a weapon. That's interesting. But yeah, so it's not a bad game. It's just definitely not. The controls are weird. I don't get how I can use any of those moves that I clicked on. And I am getting my butt kicked in this game. But yeah, so it's a pretty cool game. I'm going to go ahead. I don't think it's going to let me. So I'm just going to kind of keep fumbling around with the stuff on here to try to figure out exactly what I'm doing. And we're going to preface one more wrestling game. I know 3 games, 1 video, very difficult. But I want to really kind of get the beginning versions of these. Oh, I actually did a move. Watch that. Look at that. I don't know how I did it.